In your own words, what is APSA's mission statement? Well, if you've seen my last speech, I was up here running for auxiliary director, and I flat out said, I don't know. And now I'm up here saying, hi everyone, my name is Charmay Hoang, and I'm running to be APSA's next Vice President of Internal Affairs for the 2023 to 2024 school year. The answer to that question is APSA stands for Asian Pacific Student Alliance, and we are one of the biggest nonprofit cultural organizations here at San Diego State. Here we provide a safe environment for the AAPI students of SDSU, given that we are a minority group on campus. We celebrate, embrace, and educate others about our culture. Or as I tell the students I'm tabling, it's a way to connect and socialize with more people. Many others before me have come up here, and I always hear the same, I couldn't imagine myself up here, and look how far I've come. Well, that wasn't me. I kind of always knew that I'd be up here again, and it's crazy to think that this all happened 2 years ago. I was born and raised my whole life in Sacramento, California, where I grew up going to very diverse schools. So when I moved into my dorm at San Diego State, I experienced a cultural shock. On my dorm floor, I only saw about 3 other Asians, and one of them is your current membership secretary, Gloria Lin. One day, she invited me to the APSA Beach bonfire, and from there, the rest is history. I can't imagine what my life would be like without APSA. The amazing experiences I've had led me to run for auxiliary director so I could give others the same opportunity. APSA gave me friends, it gave me a community, it even gave me a boyfriend. Currently, I am on board, and I've seen firsthand what a full board looks like and all the events that entail, including the upcoming FTS. I've had many experiences solving GBMer to GBMer conflicts, GBMer to board conflicts, board member to board member conflicts, and the many plus minuses to all the events and GBMs. There's been so much happening that I felt overwhelmed, stressed, and burnt out, and I thought maybe I'll take a break and return next year. Then during our winter retreat, Deanna talked about how she came back on board because she still had love and passion for APSA. She still had more to give. And it's weird to say, but her words kind of brought me back to life. And I realized that there's still more I wanted to accomplish. I still have more to give. And I care about the future of APSA, which is why I'm back here now. APSA has succeeded for 50 years, and I want it to keep going. As mentioned before, being on board gave me a lot of stress and took up a majority of my time. A VP is supposed to help their branch members, make sure everyone is okay, and that events run smoothly. A VP is supposed to be a support system and help pick up the slack in committee work if a branch member has a lot going on that week. I've learned from Deanna how a VP should act, and I am confident that I will be able to provide the same love and support she has shown, not only to the internal branch members, but to any of the board members and GBMers who needed her support. After talking to the current top 4 and past board members, one of the patterns I realized is struggling with communication. In a relationship with 2 people, one always ends up putting more work in to reach out and to make bonding time with the other. And in a VP to branch member relationship, that is only okay until it's not. I really want to emphasize the importance of communication next year. I'll probably make that one of my retreat workshops. As a VP, I will always reach out to my members, but I will stress that I cannot help them unless they help me by asking me what they need from me. Whether that's time off so I have to pick up their work, which is okay, or if they just need someone to talk to. But in order for branch members to feel comfortable speaking up, Top 4 has to create a safe environment for them to do so. Next year, I want to ensure that the board's goals are aligned for a successful year. Communication beforehand is key, as everyone has their own bylaws and priorities. Unfortunately, there's not enough days for everyone to fully complete their bylaws and the events that you've seen all today. So I would like to discuss objectives for next year beforehand and figure out what should be prioritized to create the best year possible. We have many options, whether it's APSA being more politically active, collaborating with other organizations, emphasizing family duties and socials, making FTS big again, whether it needs to be that big, and etc. However, communication is crucial for any of these plans to succeed. APSA has been very successful throughout the years, but there's always room for improvement. We've been straying from putting APSA's presence out into SDSU and instead focusing on ourselves, which is okay, but as IVP, I would like to prioritize getting our AAPI presence known again back on campus, whether that's Greenfest and Dance Marathon. I would also like to have more collaborations with the other AAPI orgs on campus. APSA is big enough to show that we are here and we deserve to be heard. As past President Xavier Major has said, APSA is entering a new age, and I, Charmay Hoang, believe that I can help cultivate this new APSA as next year's Vice President of Internal Affairs. Thank you.
For your first question, what do you think is one of APSA's strengths as a whole organization, and what do you think we should focus on improving for next year? Tell us how you'll be able to do that in your role.
Like I said, APSA is one of the biggest organizations on campus, and for the past years, we've grown because we focused just on ourselves and just socializing. But I think bringing back APSA being involved in Green Fest, or like Bradley said, being involved in more volunteer activities, or just showing up to like basketball games, saying like, hey, like we're here, is really important.
And then for your next question, do you think that there is an issue regarding our relationship with other organizations on campus? Tell us how you hope to bridge that gap and create a more intersectional and inclusive community.
I think there is a gap. When you guys walk into a PETA, you see VSA only stays in their room. APSA takes up most of outside of a PETA, and AB Samahan's always just in lounge. And I think one way to bridge between that is just by saying hi. Because I have been in VSA, when I walk past the office, I at least wave. I think having APSA be the first step to reaching out to other organizations first, whether that's supporting them at their first GBM, even just to promote ourselves or inviting them to come, like how last year we had APSA come in and present a cultural segment, is one way to bridge that. Or also having more collaboration for events. I know one of the events I really wanted to do it as auxiliary is create a whole big APETA sports day with all the API orgs to collab, and unfortunately that was not prioritized this year, so maybe next year that's something that could happen. Another thing is for HSC we were supposed to collaborate with VSA, but unfortunately that fell through, so maybe next time putting more work into collaborating and communicating, that way we can all, because we're all Asian, we're all, you know, like we should all be a community and support each other.
For question number 3, internal affairs consists of several different jobs: working with AS, communicating with other API organizations, your internal branch, and eboard as a whole, which requires skill and effort. Tell us how you hope to approach each of these in order to create strong relationships and keep each party on the same page. Between branch members or between? Each of these, so whether it's your organization, your internal branch itself, working with AS, or eboard as a whole.
For branch members, having a bi-weekly meeting, or just having text, like just texting everyone like, hey, are you okay? Like, how are we doing? Kind of like how Deanna, you had when we talked about, okay, what events like do we have coming up? Does anyone need any help with anything? With AS, again, it's just making APSA's presence more known and not just keeping to ourselves, going to Aztec nights, or whether it's even more tabling events. Just, yeah, I think making our presence known helps, like AS be like, oh, they're big, like we should give them more money for other stuff, you know.
So question number 4, this position typically involves having discussions regarding topics that often occur between SDSU and cultural organizations on campus. Examples of these topics include a lack of representation for AAPI within the student government, lack of visibility of POC on campus, and mutual negativity between associated students and cultural organizations. How do you plan on tackling these issues and making strides to prevent these from occurring in the future?
I think one of the things is, so I was at AS, elections yesterday, and there was barely anyone there, and they said out of 35,000 students, only 5,000 students voted. So I think APSA being more politically active could be a goal for next year, making sure students, or especially our GBMers, know that, hey, like, politics are here, this is student government, like, make sure that, you know, you're getting what you need, voting for people that you think will help your future college career. Like again I said, making APSA's presence known more during like events, other SDSU based events, not just APSA events.
And for your last question, as a vice president, how will you use your position to mitigate challenging situations? How do you confront conflict when problems occur, and how will you be able to maintain confidence and speak up even when it's not the easiest option?
I personally don't think I have a problem speaking up. I think one thing I have to work on is listening, and I have been working on that more. like Bradley said, maintaining like a cool, calm, like collective sense while you're listening to someone, making sure you're really listening to what problems they have and working on communicating and compromising for that. And I think also, like I said earlier, when other executive board members have something that they want to speak up on but they're too shy, it's top four's responsibility to make sure there's a safe environment and that their opinions aren't going to be shut down immediately. They're actually going to be heard and taken into consideration.
One final question. How exactly do you want to work and collaborate with other organizations? How do you plan on doing this?
Well, originally I was gonna force Grace to do my big sports day collab, but otherwise for like cultural presentations or political presentations, inviting like we did last year, PISA to come in, CASA to talk about whatever they want to, BSA, and so on and so forth. And I also think encouraging other G members like, hey, like APSA's not the only option. There's other things to check out too, just like how you would when you're talking about like going to college. Like there's not just college, there's other options and paths for